Hello friends, this is Sivit Arshan. In this video, we are going to quickly look about the income tax slab rate changes proposed in the budget by our Honorable Finance Minister for the financial year 2025-26. Okay, before we get started, it's pretty exciting, right? There is no income tax up to the income of rupees 12 lakhs for the financial year 25-26. But is this really true? Let's get started and then as the video goes by, we'll get into more details. Before we start, I know there have been a lot of apprehensions after the previous budget, and basically, India taxing a lot of the individuals, a high rate of taxation, and then, basically for the facilities that are available in India, there has been a lot of apprehensions on the finance minister as well as the government on the taxation policy which has been adopted to the government, basically for the individuals. But then this budget comes as a big boost wherein, the finance minister has announced that flat income tax exemption up to rupees 12 lakhs is what is being circulated. But let us get deep into what the act says and how should we perceive it for better understanding. So as you could see in the screen, the new tax regime, the new tax slab and the rates under the new tax regime is actually formed. So basically, there are 6 to 7 rates right now, which we are seeing in the screen, wherein, for an income tax slab, for a person who is earning up to rupees 4 lakhs, there is no tax. Basically, the tax rate is nil. And then for a person who is earning from 4 lakh rupees to 8 lakh rupees, the income tax rate is 5%. For a person who is earning rupees 8 lakh to 12 lakh, the income tax rate is 10%. For a person who is earning from 12 lakh to 16 lakh, the income tax rate is 15%. For a person who is earning 16 lakh to 20 lakh, the income tax rate is 20%. And for a person who is earning 20 to 24 lakh, the income tax rate is 25%. And for a person who is earning over and above 24 lakh, the income tax rate is 30%. Wow, a big relief to the middle class taxpayers, right? But then, sir, wait a minute. You might ask me, sir, wait a minute. The finance minister told us there is essentially no tax up to rupees 12 lakhs, but then you have put me a tax rate for 4 lakhs to 8 lakhs, which is 5%, and then 8 lakhs to 12 lakhs, which is 10%, which is pretty surprising. Have you gotten the tax rates wrong? Here's where the catch is, friends. So let us look into it a bit deeper. Essentially, there is a concept of rebate under income tax act, wherein the rebate was previously rupees 25,000, and the rebate has actually been increased to rupees 60,000 as a proposal in the current budget. So let me tell you what happens. For a person who is earning below 4 lakhs, the person doesn't have to worry because the income tax rate is already 4, nil. And then, yeah, he has to worry on the other things such as inflation and the rising prices. And then, yeah, he doesn't have to worry about the income taxes right now. But then let's look at the person who's earning between 4 lakh to 8 lakhs. Let us say the person earns 8 lakhs. Okay. So for his first 4 lakhs, there is no taxation, but for the next 4 lakhs, 4 lakhs to 8 lakhs, will be charged 5% as stated here, which is 4 lakhs into 5%, which is 20,000. So should I pay a tax of 20,000? Technically, no, because this is where the rebate under income tax act applies, and then you will be given a rebate up to rupees 60,000. But here the tax is just 20,000, so the rebate gets knocked off against the tax payable of 20,000, and the person will essentially be paid no tax. Let's come to the second person who is earning an income between 8 lakhs to 12 lakhs. Let us say he earns an income of 12 lakhs. So we have already computed a tax of 20,000 for a person who earns 8 lakhs. So there is an excess of 4 lakhs here. What happens now? For the excess of 4 lakhs, will be charged 10%, which is basically 4 lakhs into 10%, which is 40,000. Now let us sum that both. 20,000 for the first 4 lakhs plus 40,000 for the second 4 lakhs will sum to rupees 60,000. What did we discuss before? There is a rebate of up to 60,000, which is being given to the income tax. The tax payable comes to rupees 60,000 for a person who's earning 12 lakhs. And he gets a rebate, which is basically a tax benefit of 60,000. So essentially, the person who's earning up to rupees 12 lakhs will get a tax rebate of 60,000, which knocks off the tax payable. So as the finance minister rightly said, a person who's earning up to 12 lakhs will be paying zero taxes from financial year 25-26, basically for the year which starts April 25. 1st April 2025 and ends on March 31st, 2026, which is a big relief to the middle class because we'll come to the subsequent section wherein I will show you how much is the tax benefit a payer is getting through the new tax rates. But now let us come to the bigger chunk. Let's say a person earns an income between 12 lakhs to 16 lakhs. Let us say he earns an income of 13 lakhs. Now what happens? This is where the whole of the tax slabs along with the income tax rate comes into picture because a person who's earning over and above 12 lakhs does not get the benefit of rebates. I'll come again. A person who's earning an income of above 12 lakhs, over and above 12 lakhs, will not get the benefit of rebates, which amounts to 60,000. So let's assume your income exceeds rupees 12 lakhs. You will not be getting the rebates and your income starting from rupees 0 will be taxed under the slab rates that I have mentioned here. So let's assume I earned rupees 13 lakhs. Let's assume I have earned rupees 13 lakhs. What happens now? I have a tax of rupees 60,000 up to rupees 12 lakhs. I don't get the benefit of rebates because technically I have crossed the threshold limit of 12 lakhs. Now I'll also have to pay tax on the first of my 12 lakhs, which is 60,000. Plus I'll be paying a tax of at the rate of 15% for my income, which is over and above 12 lakhs. Similarly, I'll be paying 20% for my income, which is over and above this slab of 16 lakhs. Similarly, I'll be paying a tax at the rate of 25% for my income, which is over and above 20 lakhs, still 24 lakhs. And if I'm earning more than 24 lakhs, I will be paying a tax at the rate of 30%. This is how the slab rate works. I hope I'm clear. Just to be precise, I'll just summarize quickly again. The income tax rates, as you can see, as I told you before, is as below. But then what happens now? Your income up to rupees 12 lakhs gets exempt from taxation because you get a rebate of 60,000. But then what happens if you earn more than 12 lakhs? Every penny that you earn more than 12 lakhs means that your income from rupees 0 will be taxed and you will not be given the benefit of rebates. And hence you will be progressively taxed based on how much you earn. So here it is important to note another point wherein you also get something called standard deduction. Technically for a salaried employee, the salaried employee is entitled to a benefit of 75,000 rupees per annum as standard deduction. So let's assume you earn an income of 12 lakh 75,000. You'll get a standard deduction of 75,000 and then your income is essentially 12 lakhs again. So essentially speaking, the rebate has to be calculated after giving effect to the standard deduction of rupees 75,000. Let's assume your income is 16 lakh 75,000. 75,000 is given as a rebate and then your income for the purpose of taxation will be 16 lakhs. This is how a standard deduction works. So essentially speaking, this comes as a big boost to the middle class income taxpayers because with the consistent growing rate of inflation and then the other factors, growing costs, growing prices, it is essential that the consumption power of a middle class person increases. And then by this tax rate reduction, the government has essentially increased the consumption power at the hand of the individual. By reducing the tax rate, you get more of a disposable income. We will now go to the next section wherein we'll see the benefit of these new tax regimes. Basically, due to this reduction and the increase in rebate of the standard deduction, how much does a middle class taxpayer enjoy? I'll cover this in the next section. So essentially for this, we have put in certain tax slabs and then how much ever the person is earning and then how much is the benefit that is accruing to the person. So let us say a person has been earning an income of up to 8 lakhs. The tax on the present slab will be 30,000. But then the tax on the proposed slab will be 20,000 and then the benefit due to the reduced tax slab will be rupees 10,000. And over and above this, as we discussed, since there is an increase in the rebate, he is also getting waived off for the remaining of the 20,000 and the total benefit is rupees 30,000. Essentially, a person earning up to 38 lakhs who is paying 30,000 in the current regime will be paying nothing coming from the next financial year. The same effect happens up to an income of rupees 12 lakhs. A person earning rupees 12 lakhs will be paying a tax of 80,000. But then due to the proposed tax slabs, the person will be paying a reduced tax of 60,000. he is getting an outright 20,000 reduction through the reduction in the tax slabs. And then we will be getting a further benefit of 60,000 through the rebates and will be paying essentially zero in the new tax regime, which comes as a big boost. 60,000 is the 80,000 is the increased disposable income. So let's assume you are earning 16 lakhs, 12 lakhs in the last financial year. You would have paid 80,000 as taxes. Now you will not be paying these 80,000 as taxes because you will be getting a disposable income. Basically, this 80,000 is something which you can spend this current financial year. But then over and above 12 lakhs, you will be charged taxes from rupees zero. But then even then, the person who's earning above 16 lakhs will also get a benefit because of the reduced tax rates. So a person earning 16 lakhs will get a benefit of 50,000 due to the reduced tax slabs, and then a person earning 20 lakhs will be getting a 90,000 due to the reduced tax slabs, and then a person earning 24 lakhs will be getting rupees 1 lakh 10,000 reduced due to the reduced tax slab, and a person earning rupees 50 lakhs will be getting a reduced tax of rupees 1 lakh, and the maximum benefit that accrues to a person is rupees 1 lakh, and which comes as a big boost to the middle class taxpayers because you may think a person who is earning 9 lakhs is not a middle class person, but then with the growing inflation rate, this might have to be reconsidered, and the government has rightly heard the middle class taxpayers, concerns, and then made a welcome move which attracts the taxpayers and essentially the voters in the next electoral session. But is this actually beneficial? We should also look into a multifold mechanism because this is something which comes up in the new tax regime. If you would be knowing something called the old tax regime, which is basically the taxation regime which was prior to this, the new tax regime's introduction, you will know that the old tax regime had a benefit in the name of deductions. So you would have heard something called tax benefits for deductions. You would be, let's assume you had made certain, investments in the form of mutual funds. You would have gotten a benefit of deductions in the form of Section 80C, which gives you a deduction up to 1,50,000. You would have heard your parents say, let's invest in an SP that gives us a tax benefit. The same is also covered under Section 80C, wherein when you make a investment in the FD, you will get a taxation benefit. You also get a benefit of health insurance premium, basically your LIC premium, which is paid in the as a deduction in the old tax regime. Similarly, there is something called a house rent allowance. You would have gone into the whole mechanism of taking the rent receipts from your landlord and then submitting it to your office to get a tax benefit for the HRA. Basically, the new tax regime waives off all the all the the deductions which is available and then proposes a lower rate. So we'll have to analyze the investments made by you and the expenditures incurred by you before you decide if the new tax regime is beneficial to you. Or else you should make a cost benefit analysis on the taxation which you will be paying in the old tax regime and then only decide if the new tax regime is beneficial to you. This is the main thing which has to be looked upon. And then there is also a concern of the old tax regime being waived off from the next budget session. So this comes off as a welcome move wherein the old tax regime could be waived off because this lucrative new tax regime would mean that the old tax regime is no longer viable. And then when the government sees an increased number of people moving into the new tax regime, it has all the measures to waive off the old tax regime. Having said this, there has to be a cost benefit analysis which has to be done between the old tax and the new tax regime before deciding that the new tax regime as proposed in the budget is beneficial to the individual middle class taxpayer. Having said that, I would also like to cover one more aspect wherein you would have heard about the concept of TDS, basically a tax deducted source. I would like to cover a specific section in which is tax paid on the rent, TDS collected on the rent. Like assume you are a landlord, you have a property which you have let out on rent, and then the annual rent which is being paid by the person who's on rent exceeds rupees 2,40,000. Now, this means that there has to be a tax deduction source because the threshold limit of this section is rupees 2,40,000. And let's assume the income accruing from the rental income is above 2,40,000. The rent payer has to deduct some amount before he pays rent to you for a residential property and make deposit in your name. But now the government has also given a substantial benefit wherein the slab limit for this, the threshold limit has been increased to rupees 50,000 per month, which sums up to rupees 6 lakhs per annum, which is a substantial jump from the existing 2 lakh 40,000 to 6 lakhs per annum. But then the main concern here is that the rate should be, the threshold should be looked upon on a monthly basis rather than an annual basis. So it should not be looked upon as if your rent within a year falls below 6 lakh, but it should be computed on a basis of monthly. Let's assume your rent is 49,000 per month. You will not be falling under the threshold for TDS and the TDS will not be deducted. But then let's assume your rent is above 50,000. Let's assume it's 51,000. Then the threshold still applies and you will have to deduct TDS under the section. Having said these are the large, benefits that are accruing to a middle class. Basically, the net, net cash at the hand of an individual has increased, but then the government is also looking at a major, economic reforms, to enable the consumer to spend more. Basically, the net consumable income at the hand of an individual has increased, but then yeah, it also means that the government would expect the individual to spend more, and then yeah, it has also laid up various programs on increase to look at the economic reforms and then increase in GDP. Overall, this budget comes as a big boost to the individual middle class taxpayers. But then, yeah, it is as said earlier, it has also to be looked at the point of the old tax being the old tax regime being moved and then removed, and then the new tax regime coming into the picture, and then there has to be a cost benefit analysis which has to be done before you decide on the tax regime that you have to choose for financial year 25, 26. So having said that, this is my first video in YouTube. So please, feel free to leave your feedback in the comments, and then I hope this is informative. I had made sure it is easy for easy understanding for all of us. I have tried my best to do that, and then yeah, as I said, this is my first video. I tried my level best to give my best. Feel free to give your feedback. I would take the feedback and then improve from the next videos. And then yeah, as I will also welcome suggestions, and then if for experts to point out any concerns or any mistakes that I have made in the delivery or any wrong different understandings on the taxation regimes are welcome. You can just leave a comment, and then yeah, I will be open to take a feedback. Thank you all. Thank you for the time. I hope this video helped. Thank you.